Hey guys, it's Graham. What's cracking? It's September 9th, and a few of you will know what that means. It is the birthday of Russell Marion Nelson, the president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter day Saints. Right there, I'm sure I lost a couple of you, but that's fine. The man that we sustain as the prophet and leader of the church is 101 years old. Last year, when he hit his centennial, he was the first prophet of our dispensation to reach that age, and we were all thrilled. And pretty much every day since then has just been adding to his record. In 2018, I read a book about him by Sherry Dew that was, in a sense, a biography, but it was kind of like a sample of just like vignettes of incidents in his life. He's descended from the original Utah pioneers, but he was born into an inactive family. He joined the church kind of later in his teens, and there's a famous anecdote of him like smashing his parents' liquor bottles. They got active again. He didn't serve a mission for the church because a little something called World War II broke out, and he got drafted. But then he, in his 20s, got married, went to college at the U, and then became a doctor, specifically in cardiology. And this was at a time when cardiology was still very, very, what's the word that I'm looking for? Nervous when it came to actually touching the heart. They would study and monitor the cardiovascular system, but things like open heart surgery didn't exist when he became a cardiologist. He was part of the pioneering team that invented certain instruments that would then make open heart surgery possible. There was even a story about how, after a lot of trial and error, he was able to develop one of the earliest models of a blood oxygenator, which was key to being able to do open heart surgery. Like, hey, if we can stop the heart, keep the blood oxygenated artificially, work on the heart, and then restart the heart, that will make open heart surgery a viable process. Um, and one of the things that I thought was just the most touching about that was, he and his wife, Danzel, they had 10 kids. They had 9 girls in a row. And after only a couple of the girls, as the story goes, Danzel had a dream that they had a son, and she saw his face, and she's like, we've got to have this son. They kept having daughters. I think they had like 4 or 5 more daughters, and then their final child, their 10th, was Rusty Nelson, and or Russ Jr. I'm already forgetting on that one. But when the baby was born, Danzel was like, "That's him. That's his face. That's the one that I saw all those years ago." Like, holy cow! But as a consequence of having all those kids around the house, they had a lot of baby bottles and stuff, and there were, parts of all those bottles that Russell Nelson was able to use for his like original kind of DIY test model for the oxygenator. And after he got all the particulars down, he was able to draw up blueprints for a more refined version, and that was the initial blood oxygenator, which again, like, was instrumental in making the process of open heart surgery viable. He went on to have a very accomplished career in surgery, even performed surgeries on important people over in China. The man was a world traveler by way of his work for a long time. And then at the age of 60, a few months before I was born, he was called to be an apostle for the church. And if you're unaware of that, that's basically a full-time, lifetime appointment. Like, you're going to be doing work for the church for the rest of your life. Back in 2006, I think it was, when he was in his early 80s, he became a widower, sadly. He would remarry a while later a woman named Wendy Watson. She's been by his side then for the last at least 15, 16 years. I'm losing track of the timeline there, but he's been no less busy for it. First as an apostle, and then in 2018 he was called to be the president of the church after President Monson passed away. But the book Insights is just full of stories of his family, and then his career in medicine, and the works that he's done, first as an apostle and then as the prophet, as the president of the church. And I just found it very inspiring and moving and uplifting. And it was one of those books that I felt kind of personally challenged me to maybe be a little bit more than I have been, not just in the sense of temporal accomplishments, but, well, what's the way to say this? Emulating his demeanor. A lot of his recent church talks have emphasized becoming a peacemaker, and there were anecdotes in the book that talked about how that's always been one of his more closely held values, even to the point where, as much of a basketball fan as he is, if he's watching the game and the players are getting too aggressive and chippy and angry at each other and setting the sportsmanship aside and going for throwing blows and stuff, he'll just turn the game off and not watch it. There's a type of moral integrity to that I think I could do more of. You guys have been listening to my show for a long time know that I tend to take things out on the routers and the warehouse and the people who I feel do their part of my job poorly and just make my job harder. And at this point, I've just kind of taken it as a fait accompli that things are going to go wrong, and I can either manage it like I've been doing for years and not get too bent up about it, or I can manage it like I've been doing for years and get bent up about it. Obviously, one of these options is better than the other. It's nice to have good examples in your life. So happy 101st birthday to President Nelson. I would say here's to many more, but I guess it's up to the man upstairs how many more he wants. But just thanks for a lifetime of service and setting a great example. And to all of you who might be at all curious about the life of the man who currently is the president of the church, check out Insights by Sherry Dew. Thanks for watching. Drive safe. See you out there.